Okay, so just a very quick commentary on the use of Linux. This commentary is based on the fact that last week, somewhere between the 17th and 23rd or 21st of January 2022, several radio amateurs raised the issue of utilizing or using Linux as opposed to Microsoft Windows. Now, what I wanted to say very briefly was Linux is an exceptionally good operating system, regardless of, you know, if you're using Red Hat, Linux, all the way down to Raspberry and Pi and that type of thing. There is, however, just one problem, and that is really down to whether or not many people are able or capable of, in actual fact, being able to utilize Linux for the installation of programs. With Windows, it's easy. You select the program or you Google it, you find it, you download it. It's usually in an executable file, or it might in actual fact be a zip file. You unzip it, you've got an executable file, you double click it, you run it, that's it, it's installed. Linux is a little bit different, well, quite a bit, because the installation process itself, there is no sort of specific download of a executable file. You have to go through quite a complex and procedural process to download an application and to install an application. What I mean by that is, firstly, you open up a command prompt, or you might go to a web page and then it says click here for the link, and then it tells you these are the instructions and you've got to go and get this and run this update all in command prompt and type in, you know, word for word, letter for letter, put in URLs, go and get the file, go and unzip the file as a separate process. And that is where radio amateurs in general may fall short of being able to move from the Microsoft Windows to the Microsoft or to the Linux platform as a whole. In addition to that, there are several programs that you cannot in actual fact run on Linux. I know it was mentioned there are video applications. Yes, there are, but there are several other types of applications that radio amateurs might be utilizing either for day-to-day activities or even the amateur radio operations that might not in actual fact be available on Linux platforms. So my advice to radio amateurs in particular, before you consider moving from Linux or moving to Linux, one needs to in actual fact be very careful with regards to the programs you are currently using. And it might be an idea to actually do a lot of Google research and find out exactly what programs are in actual fact available for you on Linux before you actually move over. Okay, so continuing, if you do decide to go the Linux route, it might be an idea to actually run a VirtualBox type application to see if it will work, which brings us into another area of concern. Whether you run a virtual machine on a Windows PC or you run a virtual machine on a Linux PC, there are a couple of problems that usually crop up, and that in particular is the sharing of your resources, i.e. your USB ports, your sound cards, that type of thing. There are several occasions where people using Linux and Windows for that matter are unable to get software running on a virtual machine to actually see external hard drives, USB devices, and all the rest of it. Just going back to the installation process, there is no standard method, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to do an installation, an update, or even an uninstall of any software application, because they all differ from Linux version to Linux version. Now, Windows, in essence, if you look carefully, depending on what version or which of the OSs you are operating, like Vista or Windows 10, there could be a Hyper-V virtual machine management software that you could either activate, install, download, install, and utilize it that way, or you can go and install Oracle's VM VirtualBox. VM VirtualBox, very good application for the Windows platform, but again, it's a learning curve. And then finally, it has been said that, look, Linux does in actual fact not get affected as much by viruses, etc. And it brings us to the entire conversation regarding antiviruses. Now, it's amazing to hear how many people, just in general, I mean, even amongst my own customer base, there's this concept that an antivirus program will stop spyware and malware. Guys, you need to listen to the term that is being used. An antiviral program protects you against viruses. It does not protect you against malware or spyware. So be careful, don't generalize and group everything together. Having said that, there are some, not all, antivirus software applications or paid packages that may include anti-malware or anti-spyware. Now, jokes aside, everybody from Windows Vista upwards, Microsoft has already provided their very own antivirus software application that runs in the background without you doing anything. And it's free. So there's not always a reason to go forth and purchase an antivirus or anti-malware or anti-spyware program, because Microsoft Windows has provided Windows Defender, which provides a simple yet effective antiviral application. Now, there's a lot of other antiviral programs that you can purchase, but they do conflict with what Microsoft has done. And the actual DLL or dynamic link libraries, etc. The only other application that I could recommend is called Sophos, Sierra Oscar, Papa Hotel, Oscar Sierra. There is a home download, doesn't cost you a cent, and I can tell you, as a Microsoft system engineer, it does not conflict with any of the Microsoft DLLs, executables, or otherwise, and it doesn't interfere with it. Right, enough said on Linux, antiviruses, and all the rest. In short, be careful as to what antivirus you do install. If you do go Linux, be advised that it's going to be a mission to go through that learning curve, to do installations and everything else. It's not just plug and play, look and double click and run. There are various aspects to take into account. Generally, everything that has been said with regards to the antivirus discussion and the Linux discussion, I'm in full agreement with. I just feel I needed to add the extras so that you know what you were in for before you attempt anything. There you go. Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.